Are you not happy with the way your wildlife photos are coming out? Well, today I'm going to give you guys my top 5 tips for how in just 2 months I got my photos from looking like this to now looking like this. How you guys doing? My name is Johnny Langton. I am a photographer from Long Island, New York, and I've been doing photography for about 6 years now. Just recently, in the last 2 months, I've gotten really interested in doing wildlife photography, specifically birds, because there are so many different species where I live that you can take pictures of on a daily basis. Now, my number 1 tip here that I'm going to be starting off this video with is knowing where to take photos of birds. Because guess what? No matter what gear you have, you can spend $13,000, whatever crazy amount it is, on a 600mm f4 lens, which is, I shoot Canon, so that is like the holy grail of lenses for wildlife and for bird photography. You can have that and the best camera imaginable, but if you're not going to the right places where you're going to see birds, guess what? You're just not going to get any good bird pictures because you're not going to see birds. And that was my problem. When I first started out, I didn't know the correct places to go to, and I was spending so much of my day in the car and not enough time actually photographing birds. So I'd come home and I'd have pictures of maybe 5 different birds because I was walking through the forest all day and I just couldn't find anything. So I'm going to give you guys my number 1 tip, which would be to download the app eBird. If you don't know what this is already, it's a app where if you go onto it, you put your current location in, and it also will tell you what's the best places around you to take photos. So I usually set it to like a 10-mile radius because I don't want to drive too far. If I have more time, I'll set it to a bigger radius, but I'll usually have it set to about 10 miles. It'll give you all the best local places to take photographs, and other people will track birds for you. So they could tell you what they've seen in the last 7 days, and you can go out there and hopefully catch those birds on your own. Another great thing to do is that you just need to get out there. Go to your local, nature preserves, go to your local national parks if there's any near you, or state parks, anything like that. Go to these places and just look for people with cameras. That was my biggest problem for the longest time, is I've been doing photography for 6 years and I was always just taking photos by myself. I never got out there and spoke with other photographers. And if you do see the people with big lenses, chances are they're taking pictures of wildlife and of birds. So just ask them, what's a good place around here to take pictures, and I'm sure they'll help you out. I was able to talk to a few people locally that have been doing bird photography for years, and I never realized that just 2 minutes from my house, there has been bald eagles living there for 4 years. Nobody's told me this. Since I've known this now for the last 2 months, I've taken countless pictures of them. I've been able to see them pretty much on a daily basis. Whenever I go to this park, you are going to see bald eagles there. So just speak to people and try to find out what's the best place near you to take bird photos. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into step number 2. And step 2 is knowing the correct lighting situation to go out and take photos of wildlife. The thing is, I know what you want to do. You want to just go right now when you're watching this video and go out and take photos of birds, but you might not have the correct weather to do so. If it is a very sunny day and it's the middle of the day and the sun is high in the sky, chances are your photos are not going to look the best unless you go somewhere in the shade where the light is not too harsh, because the problem is you're going to have either really blown out highlights, or if you expose for the highlights, your shadows are going to have 0 detail in them because they'll basically just be totally black. And I know what you're thinking, oh, but I could just shoot it in RAW and fix it in post. It's not as easy as it looks, and there's certain photos that you'll take and you'll be unable to fix them. There will be no solution. So the much better thing to do is go out at the right times of day. Obviously, if you wake up at sunrise and you take pictures at sunset, those are the best 2 times a day. But you can also go an hour after sunrise, an hour before sunset. Where I live, where I like to take pictures of birds, there's a lot of tall trees. So if I go out when the sun is supposed to be setting, I'm actually not going to be getting the best photos. So I like to go out maybe an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours before sunset, so the sun is still above these trees and it will still not be too harsh, the lighting, and it will make for really good bird photos. Another great tip would be to go out on a cloudy day. I know a lot of people, they think that's the worst time to take photos, but it's actually, for wildlife, one of the best times because you have a nice soft lighting on your subject and it'll make for really great photos. All right, for tip number 3, this one is very, very important when it comes to wildlife and especially bird photography, is you need to be aware of the background of your photo, and you also need to get very low. These kind of go hand in hand, because if you get really low, your backgrounds will be blurred out much more than if you're shooting down on your subject, because if you're shooting down, the ground is going to be right behind them, or if they're sitting on a branch, the branch will be right behind them, so you won't be able to get a nice blurred out background that really makes for a great wildlife and for a bird photo. I'm going to show you guys right now the difference between 2 of these photos. One of them was taken at head level. I just held the camera up to my face and took a picture. The other one, I got low to the ground and took a picture of the same species of bird. And these were actually taken about 2 feet away from each other. So it's the same location, everything like that. It's not like I went to a nicer location. This is just the secret of getting low and taking a photo at eye level of the bird. Now, the other part of this tip that's really important is looking at your background. If the background is too close, whether it be, even if you do get low, maybe there's branches right behind where the bird is, it's not going to be blurred out at all. There's not going to be a good depth of field. So you need to get far away from your background as possible. I know sometimes it isn't possible. Sometimes you want to get the perfect photo and the bird is, eating a fish or something like that, and this is the perfect time to get the photo. Obviously take it if that's all you got, but sometimes the background can be really distracting in a photo, and I'm guilty of this as well. I sometimes am just so focused on the bird that I'm not thinking of the background, but this is a very, very important tip that you need to pay attention to, because this will make your photos look completely 10 times better if you have a better background. That is just as important as the subject, trust me when I say that. For step number 3, we're going to talk about gear. I know this is everyone's favorite thing to talk about. All they care about is having the best camera, the best lens, the best tripod, all these different things. This is the most important thing you are going to need if you are new to wildlife photography and taking pictures of birds, and that would be a lens, a good lens that's going to last you years to come. This is the Sigma 150 to 600. This lens is less than $1,000 US, and I can tell you now, when I bought this, as opposed to the last lens I was actually using a 70 to 200 f2.8 Canon lens, which, trust me, is a phenomenal lens. That's like one of the most notorious lenses of all time for photography. But when it comes to bird photography, you're going to want to have one that zooms in to at least 400 millimeter, 500, 600, and I think just getting the Sigma lens is the absolute best one, especially for the price of it. It is not too expensive, and when you have a good lens, it'll last you a lifetime. After that, if you want to get a new camera, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, you can, but you don't need anything else really to get started. Just to get started, you don't even need an expensive tripod. You can use a cheap tripod, as long as if you're new to this, don't be focusing on trying to get the best panning shot of a bird in flight and I need to have eye detection on an expensive camera in order to get that. Just worry about getting nice photos. There's plenty of nice photos you can get where a bird's not flying, or where you don't need an expensive tripod and all these different things. Just get low to the ground, hold your lens, take some photos, and if you realize that you're really enjoying this whole thing and you want to invest more in it, and this is something that you're going to be doing for the long term, then if you want to buy a new camera, then if you want to buy a new tripod, then if you want to go out wearing full camouflage, be my guest. But you don't need those things to start out. If you're a beginner to this, and if you're new to it like I am, you do not need these crazy expensive things. I'm going to show you guys now with the Sigma 150 to 600 and a very cheap tripod that I've had for about 5 years now. These are some of the photos I was able to get, and I don't have a nice camera either. It doesn't have eye detection. It's the original Canon EOS R that's been out for years now. I mean, I've had it for a while. It's probably cheap now. I don't know how much it's really worth, but I'm going to show you guys some of the pictures I was able to get with that combination and just shooting handheld for most of these photos actually. All right, and last but not least, this is my tip number 5 for shooting wildlife and bird photography, and that is to have fun with it. This is not a competition. When you go out and you meet other people, don't be comparing yourself to them. Don't be trying to get the better photo than they are. Obviously, just have fun with it. Just go out, meet new people. That's what I've been liking the most about this, is just in my neighborhood alone, I've been able to meet so many nice people, and we've had conversations about life. We've had conversations about everything. It's not all about the photography. Sometimes it's just about being in nature, being able to see these beautiful species that, I never looked up in the sky and seen these before. I kind of just went about my life and never thought anything about the birds. I didn't know until a few months ago that they each had their own specific callings and stuff like that. So it's really just good to be the new person. Just, don't be trying your best to, move up the ladder as quickly as possible. There's plenty of people that have been doing this for 30 years, 40 years. They're used to taking pictures on film, and they're a lot older people that like to do wildlife photography, and you're going to realize quick that you are the beginner, and it's okay to be the beginner. Ask people questions, and meet some cool people and have fun in nature, and just enjoy the process of taking photos and the process of getting better. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long journey. And if you guys want to learn more about nature and wildlife photography and all these different things, make sure to subscribe to this video and leave a like so that more people can see this video, because in my opinion, these are the 5 most important tips that you must know if you're brand new to this, just picking up a camera, or you've been taking photos for years like I have, and you're just getting into bird photography or wildlife photography. I think these are the most important things that you really need to do in order to go take that step up to the next level, because my photos in just 2 months have really gotten a lot better than they were, and that's because of these tips right here. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Johnny. Have a nice day.